of Management Studies IGNOU presents an audiobook on the course Mmpc 016 International Business Management for MBA program. Presenting Block 1 Introduction to International Business, Unit 3 International Business Environment and Overview, Part 1.
Objectives. After reading this unit, you should be able to 1. Appraise the international business environment. 2. Analyze the political, economic, social, technological, and legal environment. 3. Identify the key economic issues that influence international business. 4. Understand the transition of certain countries to a market economy and the effects of the latter on international firms and their managers. And 5. Appreciate the dynamics of political, social, technological, and legal environments and their influence on business. Introduction. A firm has no control on external environment even in domestic business, where it have to deal with issues like tax rates and policy, changes to the economic structure, threats from competition, political factors, government regulations, industrial licensing and approvals, ecological concerns, legal compliances to different acts and rules, and dealing with changing technological landscape. This becomes extremely complex when a firm enters international business, as it has to deal with different business environment in the countries it enters with. International business environment is regarded as the sum of all the external forces working upon the firm as it goes about its affairs in foreign markets. A firm can plan a course of action to manage uncontrollable external factors in the domestic business, as managers are familiar with business landscape of the country and forces shaping it, including political economy of home country. This is not the case for international business operations, where many uncontrollable external forces can challenge it. Some examples of such challenges are uncertainty of foreign trade regime, different political environment, changed economic legislation, confusing tax policies and procedure, misleading cultural interpretations, and complex legal compliances. Pestel analysis of business environment. Any firm intending to go global require economic data of prospective national economies to interpret, analyze, and make cross-border comparisons using standard criteria to understand the external environment affecting their business. Fortunately, such data is available online, and an exporter can easily analyze the nature of the environment on a country-by-country basis. Each economy has national accounts data indicating estimates of gross national product, including growth trends, gross domestic product, consumption, investments, government expenditures, and price levels. An exporter can also access the demographic data describing size of population, their distribution by age category, and rates of population growth. Furthermore, all business activities are taking place within the political environment, which requires understanding of sub-elements such as governmental institutions, political parties, and organizations through which a country's people and rulers exercise power. The managers of an international business firm must carefully study the government structure in the target country and analyze salient issues arising from the political environment. These may primarily include the governing party's attitude toward sovereignty, people's attitudes toward foreign firms, political risk, trade wars, and resultant economic retaliations, the threat of equity dilution, and expropriation. Understanding of legal environment is equally important, as nations are governed by force of law, which includes rules and principles that nation-states consider binding upon themselves to administer. An internationally engaged firm should pay attention to both sets of law. First, the public law, or the law of nations, and international commercial law, which is evolving. Law of nations such as common law, code law, and Islamic law provides the base for evolution and framing of international commercial law. An international business firm should also acquire knowledge of diverse socio-cultural environment to be successful in international trade operations. It must have internationally trained staff without culturally tinted glasses to independently study the international socio-cultural environment. International marketer explicitly recognizes the non-economic basis of marketing behavior and its growing role in today's globalized markets. Barbie doll come not only in white color anymore, but one can find Barbie doll having African, Chinese, and Indian facial features so that children from respective region can easily correlate themselves when they find someone similar. Consumption in today's globalized but turbulent business environment is a function of many other cultural influences. Not only the disposable income of consumers, but many non-economic factors can explain the different patterns of consumption of two individuals with identical incomes, or by analogy, of two different countries with similar per capita incomes. Ecologically, there is increased awareness for saving the environment, and firms are reducing their carbon footprints to win and retain such awakened global customers. Lastly, no business firm afford to ignore the technological environment of the country and should accordingly adapt its product and services for varied international markets. Appraising international business environment. Waves of liberalization, globalization, and privatization has influenced the global trade environment so dramatically that producers, exporters, and policymakers in developing countries like India are struggling to respond to emerging changes and challenges, especially with reference to ever-evolving trade regime, which is manifested by both anti-globalization and globalization debate. For example, 1. WTO agreements are aimed at reforming the trade regime and ensuring increased foreign trade activity in the world market. On the other hand, protectionist measures by USA coupled with Brexit by United Kingdom is a testimony of challenges an international marketer has to encounter to tap the international trade opportunities. 2. The proliferation of various trade agreements and ever-evolving non-tariff regime, especially the sanitary and phytosanitary and technical measures, have brought newer challenges on quality compliance for internationally engaged firms. 3. The technological evolution under Industry 4.0 has compelled the firms to change their manufacturing practices, business perspectives, and marketing strategies to fulfill customer-specific business needs. 4. Global pandemic has disrupted the global supply chain. The new sourcing strategy of big retails is that of China plus one strategy, meaning big retailers are realigning their supply chain beyond China, and it has provided developmental opportunities to countries in Southeast Asian region. 5. There is renewed focus to substitute critical imports, and it has led to several measures initiated for enhancing domestic manufacturing. Self-reliant India and production-related incentives in India is a testimony of it. 6. Many nations are under severe debt crisis. For instance, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Turkey. Almost all African nations, island nations, Central American countries, etc. are facing a severe debt crisis and are seeking financial assistance from IMF and other developmental institutions. 7. Politically, we are moving towards more dangerous world. The belligerence of People's Republic of China, both politically and economically, is a cause of concern for the entire world. China's debt trap policies are creating a fragile global economic system. For any firm to succeed in international markets, it is important that it must appraise and assess its competitive advantages in the light of international business environment. Indian firms, both small and large, should reorient their efforts on how effectively such facets of its competitive advantages can be synchronized with key features of target markets. It is difficult to analyze and generalize the factors of international business environment, but a reference can be made to the following elements for scanning international business opportunities. 1. Political. Political system, political installation, political ideologies of parties, political stability, political culture, etc. System of government, distribution of power between national and local government, culture of civil servants, government policy on business, etc. Risk, instability, attitude towards foreigners. 2. Economic. GDP growth, agri output growth, size and productivity, level of inflation, per capita income, disposable incomes, taxes, exchange rates, financial architecture, current account deficit, size of the economy, composition of the economy, economic health, economic policies, fiscal inventory and entrepreneurial, foreign capital, etc. 3. Social and cultural. People demographics, culture, subculture, pressure groups, interest groups, cultural life of people, rites, rituals, festivals, heritage invasion of alien culture, business culture, roles, etc., values, beliefs, language, religion, education, literacy, time, orientation. 4. Technological. Current technological stage, rate of change, available infrastructure for research and innovation, technological orientation, research and development, technology import and absorption, technological obsolescence, etc. 6. Ecological environment. Natural resources and reserves, need for protection of fragile zones, pollution control, etc. The geographical of a region like terrain, vegetation cover, location, altitude, rainfall, climate, etc. 7. Legal. Business related laws governing competition, consumer protection, contractual obligations, regulation of foreign participation, respect for judiciary, efficiency of the same, etc. In the context of above, it is important for an international marketer to scan and appraise the international market environment before getting started or entering into any international market. Let us now appraise these elements one by one in detail. Political environment. The political environment within a country impacts business and operation of firms. Many organizations working in countries like US are used to peaceful working environment. However, this may not exist in other countries. A country's political environment influences the operation of business both domestically and internationally, as politics and economics are interlinked. Political ideologies. Political ideologies are the ideas, theories, and orientations. It is more important to know how these ideas, theories can be executed or leveraged to achieve the business goals. Many political ideologies can coexist in a single country. Each political ideology will have its own pressure group, each balancing its ideologies with another. As a result, a political system remains stable among varying and sometimes conflicting ideologies. There are three kinds of alternate ideologies. These are 1. Pluralism, 2. Totalitarianism, 3. Democracy. Impact of difference in political ideologies on countries' boundaries. Differences in political ideologies are due to differing history, culture, language, region, geography, and polity, which define the boundaries of two nations. Bigger nations or regions split into smaller states when political system collapses. To understand the political environment better, let us now discuss the various forms of government. These are 1. Pluralism. Pluralism is a political philosophy which is based on the assumption that people of different beliefs, backgrounds, and lifestyles can coexist in the same society. Furthermore, all people can participate equally in the political process and can practically be part of decision-making mechanism to contribute to the common good of the entire society. Scandinavian countries are examples of pluralism which have political system in place to accept and integrate the minority groups, whether religiously, culturally, by gender, and even by orientation. 2. Totalitarianism. Totalitarianism is an extreme form of political system wherein there is one authoritarian political party. Moreover, the political system prohibits all opposition parties, outlaws individuals' rights, and places state authority to all, undermines civil liberalities, free press, and right to organize. The system exercises very high degree of control of public and regulate their public as well as private life. For example, North Korea and China are examples of extreme and complete form of totalitarianism and authoritarianism. 3. Democracy. Multinational corporations prefer to locate their business operations in democratic countries. The prime reason for this is that democratic norms usually provide freedom, especially economic freedom and legal rights, which safeguards the interest of individuals as well as business institutions. Political system of democracy has following 6 features. 1. Freedom of speech and expression of individuals and press and freedom to organize. 2. Elections in which voters elect their representatives. 3. Officials are elected for a mandated term. 4. An independent judiciary which safeguards individuals' fundamental rights and legal right to own a property. 5. Bureaucracy and armed forces or military establishments are non-political institutions. And 6. Access to decision-making process. Influence of political system on management decision-making. A. Any business firm in international market is exposed to various types of political risk because of being a part of different political system. Political risk occurs when the political climate within a country is not favorable for the international companies to operate. 1. Causes and types of political risk. There are various types of political risk which can create obstacles in the operation of a company. Example, government takeover of property, frequent strikes and lockouts which hamper companies' performance and operating performance. Such problems can arise due to radical changes in the political philosophy of countries' leadership, leading to civil disorder and breakdown of relationship between the home country and host country. For instance, Russia-Ukraine relation in 2022. 2. Macro and micro political risks. When political actions are aimed at particular foreign investment company, they are regarded as micro political risks. For instance, India restricted foreign investments without government approvals from countries with which it shares borders, primarily to restrict hostile investments from China, post-Ladakh military standoff in 2020. On the contrary, if they are aimed at large section of foreign investors, they are considered as macro political risks. B. Extent of government interventions in the economy. Government's intervention in the economy varies from individualistic intervention, that is, minimum interference, to communitarian intervention, that is, maximum interference in economy. Usually, companies prefer centralized bureaucracy with a stable political party. If a US firm moves from its home country to host country, like Germany, South Korea, and Turkey, it will have to develop new strategies for its stakeholders, namely government, customers, suppliers, and competitors. Designing and implementing political strategies. There are certain steps which a company needs to follow to establish its business operation with the prevailing political climate of a country. The steps include: 1. Shortlist the specific issues confronted by the company like trade restrictions, rights of worker. 2. Identify the political aspect of the issues, especially the ones which can be dealt from outside the political intervention. 3. Examine how competing companies can influence political system in their favor or against their company. 4. Assess the role played by important individuals and institutions in the target country's political system. 5. Assess the impact of firms' planned strategies on firms' image. 6. Accordingly, determine the appropriate strategy and execute it. Economic environment. There are 193 countries in the world and vary significantly in the level of economic development. A prominent question that a multinational corporation MNC faces is that in which of these countries it should expand. Two important considerations that would guide an MNC are: first, the ease of access to factors of production, and second, the demand conditions. To understand the economic environment, it is important to understand how the countries of the world are classified. The countries of the world can be classified based on different aspects, namely income, region, economic system, etc. A. Classification based on income. Based on income, the countries are usually classified by their GNP or GDP per capita. GNP stands for Gross National Product and GDP for Gross Domestic Product. GNP is the total value of all final goods and services produced within a nation in a particular year, plus income earned by its citizens. It excludes income of non-residents located in a particular country. GDP includes the total value of the economic activity within a country's borders, regardless of whether the activity is a result of foreign or domestic investment. Gross National Income (GNI) per capita is the amount of economic activity per citizen of a country in a year. B. Classification based on region. The various regions and their classifications are important to multinational corporations. The MNCs scan these markets along the geographic lines to design and structure their organizations and also to analyze the contiguous zone for marketing of their goods. Additionally, the logistics operation are also planned based on geographic regions. Respective regions also reflect the developmental status of such economies. C. Classification based on economic system. Economic system is the system of production, distribution, and consumption which can be placed on a continuum force free to repressed. D. Classification based on types of economies. There are basically 4 types of economies. 1. Market economy. It is the type of economy where economic resources are owned and controlled by the private sector. They are owned by private enterprises and not by government or public sector, for example, USA and UK. 2. Command economy. Here the economic resources are owned and controlled by the government or public sector. The central government of a country on the basis of central plan determines the production and processing of goods and rendering of services, for example, China and USSR before disintegration into Russia and other countries. 3. Traditional economy. In this case, the economic decisions are based on the age-old customs and beliefs followed by generations. For example, many parts of the African countries, especially the tribal regions. 4. Mixed economy. Most of the countries under mixed economy model follow a combination of above 3 types of economies. Such countries have characteristics of both private and public sectors ownership and control, for example, France and India. Main economic challenges for the economies. In a macroeconomy, there are various undesirable situations which used to exist due to lack of fulfillment of one or more macroeconomic goals. Key macroeconomic challenges faced by a large number of economies in the world are 1. Unemployment. This is one of the major macroeconomic issues which is becoming quite prominent throughout the globe. This arises due to the following 2 factors. A. The output produced is less than the input because of which the economy is not able to solve the problem of scarcity. B. The income received by the owners of unemployed resources is less because of which they have lower living standards. 2. Inflation. Inflation arises due to the continuous and persistent increase in the average price level in an economic system. Conceptually, inflation is defined as too much money purchasing too few goods or price. It is a situation where demand is more and supplies are less, and resultantly, an economy is unable to attain the goal of economic and political stability. 3. Business cycle. Unemployment and inflation leads to instability in the business cycle. Both these macroeconomic issues affect the business cycle in one way or the other. The contraction and expansion phases of the business cycle are affected, leading to unstable conditions. 4. Stagnant growth. In a common parlance, stagnant growth means that the growth has slowed down at a particular point of the business cycle. This issue arises when the supply of aggregate production does not increase at a desired pace. In certain cases, it tends to decline as well.
You were listening to the audiobook by the School of Management Studies IGNOU for MBA program. Course code Mmpc 016 International Business Management. Course Coordinator Professor G. Subayama. Voiceover by Renuka. Edited by Ashok Sharma. Program assisted by Tarannum Jahan and Jagbandhu Jana. Program produced by Dr. Manoj Kumar Singh. This program was brought to you by Electronic Media Production Center of Indira Gandhi National Open University.